Welcome to the last lesson on actions. Before we get into creating our own action, let's just talk about a couple things here. In the action panels, we have the button mode. This color codes your actions for you. Just click and boom, it's done. That's a nice handy thing sometimes. Also, you can, let me see here, select an action set, go to the flyout menu and choose Save Actions. When you save actions, you can save it to your computer, which then, if you want, you can send it to your friend. If your friend has Photoshop, they can open up Photoshop, and then they can turn around and take that file you just sent them via email, and then they can load the action on their computer, and then they can play the action on their file and have the same results as you. So you can imagine the power, flexibility, and convenience that actions can provide. Another thing is you can replace your actions and clear all actions. So let's go ahead and create an action. So the first thing we're going to do is create an action set, because we always have to create an action set. And we're going to name it retouch. And I'm going to click OK. So anything that's to do with retouch will be in this action set. I can open an action itself and drag it into another action set if I want. I mean, you have that option too. So now that we have our action set, then we can create an action. And we're going to name this remove red eyes. I can assign a function key and I can assign a color. Now, the thing with function keys are interesting. If you assign an action the same shortcut as a command, your action wins and your command doesn't. So if you're using that command and your action, you just lost. So let me just push record. You'll notice that the record button comes on down here. And then one of the first things I'm going to do is go to my flyout menu and choose Insert Menu Item. Insert Menu Item allows me to select a menu item. It tells me none are selected, obviously, right? It says to record a menu item, select the menu item using the mouse. Okay, well, I want to open a file in order to remove the red eyes. So File, Open. And then I'm going to click OK. That's all I have to do. Now, I've learned from experience, and for me, I'm sure there's other ways around it, but for me, I then stop the recording. I then will go and open the file myself. Because sometimes, for some reason, if I leave it recorded and I open the file, it records open twice, which causes a problem. And that's in testing your action and seeing what works best. Now I go back to recording my action. I just press record, no problem. And what I do to remove red eyes is I use hue saturation. So I go to my adjustment layer, I choose hue saturation, I turn around and go to the reds, and I reduce the saturation. And sometimes I will reduce the lightness of it. This depends. Sometimes here, sometimes there. I'd rather leave the lightness here and allow the person to adjust the lightness. That's just a personal thing. But we do want to get the red out no matter what. And it recorded that make adjustment. Now the next thing I need to do is I need to invert this mask, right? Because the whole hue saturation just wiped out the red in this whole photo. So I'm going to press Control Inverse, and this will invert the mask to black, which will hide the effect. And as you can see, it's recorded here. Then I'm going to go over to the panel because I'm assuming that maybe someone who's using this action doesn't have the right swatches being recorded. So you have to take into account what people might and might not have open already on their screen. So I'm going to click this, which is going to reset the swatches. So I know if I reset the swatches, I'm going to get a black or a white foreground, black foreground. Then I'm going to select the brush, and then I'm going to choose a soft brush. I like to move it just in case, and then I like to reduce the size to, let's say, maybe 21, and then I like to reduce the opacity to about 13%, so that way you can go over it many times. So you see what I'm doing? I'm already, you notice I didn't already have the brush selected. With actions, it's better to have another tool selected so that when you record it, when you actually touch the brush, it records the actual tool that needs to be done. Alright? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to include a little insert stop. An insert stop is please take the brush and apply over the red eyes as many times as needed. And then I'm going to say you can further adjust the dark by lowering the lightness in the hue saturation panel. And then I always put this press continue to use. Alright, so I'm providing a message to you that's going to help you out. Please take the brush and apply over the red eyes as many times as needed. You can further adjust the darkness by lowering the lightness in the hue saturation panel. I'd rather them do it because we don't know how red and how small, big, and things of that sort. So I'm thinking for the client on the other side. Allow continue, which would mean allow continue. Click OK, and then I click stop. Now let's see how this works. So let me close this, and now I have no file open. So now I'm going to go back up to my remove red eyes, and I'm going to click play. It's going to ask me to select the file. Please take the brush as we just saw. I press stop or I press continue. Press continue. My brush is selected. My white swatch is selected, which means I can reveal the reduce in redness in the eye. And I just go over the eyes. Each time I reduce it. Now, sure, I could have increased the opacity many times, but I'm just one of these people. I'd rather build up on the red eye. All right, here, and if we remember from the action, it told us to go to the hue saturation panel, which will be open, and reduce the lightness to make this a little bit more realistic. All right, there we go, and that's creating an action. Now, there is something I do want to show you. You can just make one step work at a time. If you were to, let's say for example, let's choose red and, excuse me, let's choose okay, blue's fine, and we'll choose a background color of red, just some odd colors, and I go over to reset swatches. If I press Control and double click reset swatches, it will play just that one step, and you can see here that it reset it. So you can customize how it works. So you can see the power and the action. So now I can actually just save this to my computer and send it to somebody else and allow them